Hey everyone, Road Breach here, and today we're taking a look at Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 is a VR horror game developed by Steelwool Studios and published by Scott Games for PlayStation VR2 on December 14th, 2023, and MetaQuest on May 9th, 2024. Considering Steelwool pretty much covered all the obvious choices for virtual reality remakes, I was eager to see what Steelwool was going to do with the sequel. So let's clock in and see what this game has to offer. But before we do, I want to quickly rant about what I went through to get this footage. Sony, I want to make positive videos on your products, but how am I supposed to when you have moronic issues like skewed output on your new VR headset? I can't get good footage from the PSVR2 for some stupid fuck-ass reason. The output is skewed 20 degrees to the left where I'm actually facing. And yes, I did try to use a capture card and it was still skewed. I couldn't review the Steam version because my computer isn't powerful enough. So I decided I would cast my feed from the Quest Pro to a web page and record it with Bandicam. Not the best quality footage, but this is my only option. Anyway, now on to the game. The graphics aren't the best on older MetaQuest systems like the Quest 2 or Quest Pro. Graphics on the Quest 3 look okay, with some decent lighting and textures, but seeing as how the Quest 3 and PSVR 2 aren't as powerful as PC, I think it's safe to say that I'd prefer lower fidelity for a good frame rate. Beyond that, it keeps a similar art style to Help Wanted. The animatronics are very cartoony, with everything looking fairly realistic. Steelwool decided to reuse models from Security Breach for some of these minigames. Though considering the nature of these minigames, I can understand why they did this. And they might as well get some more usage out of the models they already made. But they also made models for characters that weren't in Help Wanted 1, like Ballora, Funtime Chica, Pig Patch, and Lefty. On older Quest headsets, you can tell that they had to do some retooling to get this thing running on weaker hardware. For whatever reason, the game is a lot darker than the higher fidelity counterparts, though admittedly I do think it helps with the atmosphere somewhat, especially on the title screen. But Steelwool needed to decrease the polygon counts for several models in the game, and the staff bots once again have choppier animations to keep the game at a manageable frame rate.
But Road Breach, the frame rate's crappy on our end.
Yeah, it's because I had to stream the output to a web page to get the footage. Did you not listen to the rant?
You're a poopy head. When we spell it out, you're a poopy head.
There's a conversation to be had about downscaling graphical fidelity for weaker hardware, which we don't have to have here, but the game looks fine on older Quest headsets. But we can certainly have a conversation about these awful jump scares. These jump scares just suck. Point blank period. They're slow and drawn out. And one thing that especially doesn't help is the fact that I expect these to happen. FNAF is at its best when you don't expect the scares to happen. Not helping is the fact that some of these minigames take place in the Pizzaplex, which is the least scary location in this entire franchise. One thing that doesn't change is the sound design, which helps add to the immersion. So depending on what you're playing on, the presentation can be either decent or below average. But what about the gameplay? Well, Help Wanted 2 really lives up to the name, because a lot of the minigames feel like I'm working part-time as a Fazbear employee. And seeing as how I have a part-time job, I feel that assessment is pretty accurate. By this, I mean there are minigames like food prep and doing makeup for animatronics. And yes, I know Help Wanted 1 had maintenance for many of its games, but it also had a good amount of the old Freddy formula to remind you that it's still a FNAF game. That being said, you do still have to ward off animatronics or manage your resources, even if you aren't playing a game that strictly feels like FNAF, with cameras and everything. Now, I don't want you to mishear me. I'm not saying classic FNAF type gameplay isn't in here, or that FNAF needs to stagnate, nor am I saying that stuff like food prep is bad. I'm just saying that a lot of this will hit close to home. Though I will say that Sister Location is really the only recreation that's in here. The games are still selected from a console in the room, but this time it's more designed to look like a computer with files strewn around a desktop. So instead of being encouraged to tackle these in the order presented on the console, you tackle these in whatever order you please. That being said, I do want to cover these in a somewhat methodical manner. And you also get prizes after beating each minigame, which are namely character models of the animatronics, which you can look at when you get back to the hub area. But the animatronics aren't the only prizes you get from the minigames, because you can also get posters, snacks, and other trinkets. And completing minigames can give you a chance to collect the Fazforce figures. And honestly, I would totally love it if Jazzwords made these real figures. These are pretty neat. Like I said, I'm going to try to be methodical about how I cover these minigames, so let's first cover the Sister Location minigames. First is Ballora Gallery, where you need to sneak past Ballora to the exit. You need to hold the grip button while touching the ground in order to move to the exit, and when you hear Ballora's music, you need to stop stop moving completely, otherwise you'll get jump scared and need to restart the crawl. But you'll also need to get rid of mini-arenas that will advance towards you and make noise to attract Ballora. I ended up moving as fast as possible whenever Ballora was idle in order to beat the minigame. Next up, the breaker room, where you need to hold the lever in order to charge each breaker, but some breakers need to have 2 switches held at the same time in order to charge the breaker. But it's not that simple because Funtime Freddy is in the room too, so you need to use the megaphone to play sounds which will make him leave you alone for a little while. Next up is... what? I can't play that. So I guess we're playing the office private room then. This is pretty much the classic FNAF formula. Ennard is stalking you, and you need to close the left, right, or vent door in order to fend him off. But you can't just keep any of the doors closed all night, otherwise your power will drain. And you need to keep an eye on Ennard with the cameras. This is pretty easy. Then I decided to switch to the Fazcade file, where I played Bonkabon first.
So much for being methodical.
You will be silenced! This is basically whack-a-mole but with boonways and a bear. Whacking Bonbon gets you 1 point, whacking Bonette gets you 3 points, and whacking Helpy deducts points from your score. Round 2 has you whacking Circus Baby plushies, which give you 5 points, but you need to hit them 3 times, otherwise your run is over. On top of that, each round increases the number of holes they can pop out of, as well as upping the point threshold you need to reach. This one is a pretty good workout. The next minigame I played was DJ Music Time. This minigame has you matching a synth track and backbeat by looking at the visualizer, memorize the combination, and match the beat within the time limit. You can make some total bangers in this minigame. Here's a track I like to dub Violet Chica Mountain Storm. This minigame has different levels to it, with level 1 having 3 rounds, and level 2 having 5 rounds, but they both allow you to replay DJ's examples 3 times. And level 2 adds Music Man wind-up toys that you need to use the Fazcam on to dispatch. Pretty good, though I wish you had a free play mode where you could just mess around with the different synth tracks and backbeats. Then I swapped over to staff only, where I played Cold Storage. You replace a cake in Freddy's chest cavity by melting the ice on his forearms, and repairing him by connecting this transmitter and following the instructions on the screen.
And I think it'd be best to sum it up in song form.
Melt the ice off open forms, click transmitter, diagnose harm, cool off his new battery, take out his eyes and avoid his teeth, take his chest plate, cool the coil, swap the cake so it won't spoil. Now you got it, awesome, come on, game complete, so now let's move on.
Next is First Aid. You're given different scenarios where Helpy is injured, sick, or both. You use the scanner on Helpy to see what's wrong with him, and the screen tells you what tool to use to treat him. This can be giving him medicine, opening his airway, setting his bones, or cleaning up a cut. And after each scenario, you give him a piece of candy for being a good boy, though I gave him candy and head pats. One thing that helps make these procedures more clear is the fact that the chemicals you need to use are color-coded to better indicate what you need, though, I could probably imagine that this doesn't help for colorblind people. But as you're treating Helpy, there's a chance he'll scream, so you need to put the gas mask on him, and the screaming will attract animatronics that you need to fend off. Not only that, but the monitor will change to an ad, which will play sound, so you need to change the channel with the remote. The first animatronic is Pigpatch, who is the least aggressive animatronic, and the only other animatronic who comes into play at this point is Lefty, who is significantly more aggressive. Pigpatch will only peer from either vent, and you need to stare him down. Lefty can use the vents or peer through the curtain, and you need to more aggressively stare her down.
Get out of my OR, you nosy bear!
Road breach. If you keep yelling in the operating room, you're not getting your medical license.
Sorry. Next is Fizzy Faz Night 1. Interestingly enough, this one has notes of the classic Freddy formula. Fizzy Faz has you making different sodas with 4 different ingredients: protein, acid, caffeine, and sugar, with salt being added later. You need to pour these ingredients into a cup in the order listed on the monitor, put the cup into the slot under the monitor, and hit the blue button. But the ingredients you use need to be produced at the vats outside your office. You can tell the staff bots to work faster, or put them on break if they need it, which is indicated if they're looking at you on the cameras. As the week progresses, the staff bots will get far less patient and need more frequent breaks. Chica will also come up and halt production of one of the ingredients you need, so you need to send some down the trash by hitting the trash button, which you also need to use if you mess up the order as well. And if you don't put a staff bot on break, they'll come up to your office, which is when you need to hit the red lockdown button. But you can only use it 3 times, so you need to make sure you give your workers breaks when they need them.
Excuse me? I'm a Fazbear manager. What use do I have for respect for my workers or ethics? I'll make OSHA my bitch if I please.
Next, I decided to play Arts and Crafts.
You need to use the dart gun to select one of the options on the shelves, and follow the example on the screen next to you before time runs out.
And hit the button when you're done.
First activity is paint by numbers, where you use the brush to fill in areas with the right color, and you can mix the primary colors to get the secondary colors, or wash it off with a cup of water. Next activity is making a paper pal, where you need to pick out decorations, and pull the rope if you don't see the decoration you need. Good thing I'm not Mo. Leave a like if you get the reference. And the last activity is a combination of the two, where you paint the decorations. This minigame is alright. Now I want to make some real crafts. I then decided to go to food prep at L Chips. You look at the screen above you and you fill the order as quick as possible. For the food that would normally be cooked, you need to put the item in the microwave and dial the number on the container to heat it up. You also have a sauce applicator that you can switch between guacamole, hot sauce, and nacho cheese, and you have a Fizzy Faz fountain.
The Fizzy Faz does take a few seconds to fill up the cup, so a good strategy would be to fill up the cup first and prepare the rest of the order while it fills up. I do want to point out that one customer ordered flan with guacamole, which sounds disgusting to me. I'll bet this guy likes sleeping in floorless tents too. Next food prep minigame is making pizza by flattening the dough, putting on one of the 3 sauces, add whatever toppings the order calls for, and put it in the oven to bake. There's also a chance the customer will order a pizzarito, so you need to take the finished pizza and jostle it upwards to turn it into a pizzarito. And the customer may ask for fries, salad, or a drink. But that's not all, because this minigame has you fending off Chica and Mr. Cupcake. And this one is especially punishing because if you get the order wrong, then you die and have to do the whole thing over again.
Is that for me?
No, Chica. This isn't for you. Next, I played Staff Makeover, which has you doing makeup of the staff bots and adding accessories according to the screen under the time limit. Also, as a little anecdote with the PSVR2 version, the earrings were weirdly hard to attach to the heads of the staff bots. I really don't know what the issue was. I needed to find the sweet spot in order to make them attach to the head. Other than that, this one is good. Next is Glam Makeover, which is pretty much the same thing, but you can't take your eyes off Roxy for too long, and each makeover has Roxanne undo your work because she wants to try something else. Next, I played Bonnie Bowl, which is bowling. You grab a ball, roll it down the lane, and attempt to knock out all 10 pins, or try to pick up a spare. I love Wii Sports Bowling, literally my favorite minigame from both Wii Sports games. It's not hard to know where the ball is gonna go in that game. The Wiimote is symmetrical, so you have a reference for how much the ball will swerve, but here, the controllers are asymmetrical, and you can't see the controller to get a reference for how much the ball will swerve. I'm sure if I had enough practice, I'll eventually get good at this, but it's still a hang-up that I have with this minigame. Oh, and that's not all. It's a FNAF minigame, so of course you need to fend off some man-made monsters. The screen will show you who you need to fend off. If Plush Baby starts walking towards you, you need to bowl her over. If Moondrop appears on the screen, you need to find him and shine the flashlight at him to get rid of him. If Monty appears on the screen, then you need to plan your throw around the gators popping up. And if Bonnie appears on the screen, he'll inch towards you and you need to get a ball down the lane. Otherwise, you'll get totally bunnied. One more thing, I do like that the screen will show you a different animation depending on what you got, like a real bowling alley. This minigame is good, it just takes some time to get used to the physics. Next is Phaser Blast. This is a shooting gallery with a space theme. I was kinda hoping this was like Security Breach where it's basically a laser tag, but it's not. Just shoot targets and keep your score up. Next is Phaser Blast Western, where you need to shoot targets and throw balls at targets, and you'll need to fend off baby plushies later in the minigame. After the Phaser Blast Western, I went to the ticket booth category and I played the carousel. You need to fix the carousel by replacing broken fuses, which will make the carousel start moving. You then need to replace the switches and turn the red part to be facing the blue part. After you replace the switches, you need to replace a circuit board and solder the new wires to it. While you're doing these repairs, you need to fend off Moondrop with a flashlight, which becomes more difficult when the carousel is rotating. After you fix the circuit board, you need to press the red button and survive for 60 seconds. This one is quite good. I like it.
Next is Captain Foxy's Log Ride, where you need to shoot targets and get a high score. This one has more of a Western theme compared to the first shooting gallery with Foxy. And once again, I wish the gun had a sight of some kind to make aiming easier. This thing is made to look like a revolver, so giving this thing an iron sight would make sense. At the end of the Log Ride, you get a ranking from Bilgerat to Admiral on how well you did based on your score. I managed to get Buccaneer, and considering the title basically means adventurer, I feel good with such a title. When you start, there's only a few minigames you can play. You can unlock new ones by playing the available ones, but you come to a point where you can't play anything else. So, now what? Well, there's a conduit next to a door you can unlock with the Faz wrench, which you get after beating a total of 16 minigames. You can now open the door and you find Princess Quest 4 in an AR inhibitor. And one thing that took me longer to figure out than it should have, you can take off the mask that you've been wearing this whole time. I call myself a FNAF fan, and I didn't think to do that. Anyway, those corrupted files are now accessible minigames, so I decided to play Roxy Repair first. It's similar to the Roxy Makeover, just with a lower tolerance for looking away, and needing to use the Roxy Talkie when she is spiraling, but no amount of makeup can fix this, so she demands that you give her the mask, which kinda explains why she looks the way she does in the Ruin DLC. The last backstage minigame is Arts and Crafts in the Loft. Once again, you do paint by numbers and make paper pals according to what's on the monitor next to you. There's more paint that you can use like teal and silver, and you still have a gun to select stuff. The lights go out, making you need to use the flashlight to see the different parts for the paper pal and scare off Moondrop. Let's knock off another file with Fazbear Theater and Food Prep. This is basically like L Chips, but with a movie theater theme. You look at the screen and put the ordered items on the tray, and you make what are called blendies by putting candy and soda in this machine here, while fending off Chica and later needing to fend off Endos with the Fazcam.
If this video came out last year, then I definitely would have made a joke about going to see Transformers 1. And I also can't make a joke about going to see K-pop Demon Hunters in theaters as well. I mean, just go watch both movies. They're good.
Next is the Breaker Room with Yendo. It's the same as the last one, just with a more aggressive character. He's a little more difficult to see, but once you understand to look at the glint of the wires, you should be good. I then moved on to level 3 of the sister location office. Ballora will advance towards you from either side of your office, which is further telegraphed by her music. But you can close the door to get rid of her. There are also mini-renas and biddy-babs that will drain your power, which you can deal with by hitting the shock button. And every so often you'll have to remove mini-renas from the buttons in your office. It's a solid FNAF night. Next up is the Fun Time game. Chica will slowly advance towards your office, and when she gets to your door, there's nothing you can do because she'll just stay there. So you need to place the cupcake to lure her away from the other hallway. Funtime Foxy is much like regular Foxy, where they'll slowly advance towards your office down either hallway before sprinting to either door, so you'll want to keep a close eye on them. As for Freddy, he'll send Bonbon through the vent or at either door, and you'll be able to see his eyes and hear him laugh, which will give you an ample warning to shut the door. I'm a level with you, this took me a few tries to finally beat. I didn't know what exactly I needed to do from the instructions, and Foxy and Bonbon were especially aggressive. The last sister location minigame is Job Interview. I completely forgot this minigame's tasks were randomized until I got to writing this part. The first task of this minigame I got to do was red light, green light. You take the flashlight and shine it on a plush baby for a little while, then swap to another one until one manages to get to your office. The next was hide and seek. You need to look for baby plushies on the cameras, and when you see the warning sign on the monitor, that's when you know to find a baby plushie and hit the shock button. I then died and started over, and I ended up doing flashlight tag, red light, green light, and hide and seek. Once all your tasks are done, Baby walks up to you and hands you some ice cream. How thoughtful. I decided to tackle the Endo Warehouse next. This is a memory game where you find cards that go together, like eating birthday cake, petting dogs, bundle up for winter, or treating injuries. The idea is that you're programming the endoskeleton for life in the Pizzaplex. But of course it's not that simple, so you need to use the Fazcam on the other endos in here before they get to you. Let's just say this was considerably difficult for me. I decided to finish off another folder by tackling the Cinder Carousel. This is a harder version of the carousel with a more aggressive Moondrop, and more wiring you need to fix.
Then I tried DJ Music Man Pro. Once again, memorized the beat with the visualizer, and used the Fazcam on the mini Music Men. And once again, the relevant animatronics are more aggressive. This level adds another dial you need to match, and gives you less time. On to First Aid with Scrap Baby. I totally forgot about this one. Scrap Baby is more aggressive, and she can come from either vent or the curtain. There's also more tools to fix more ailments. And Helpy is far more likely to scream considering some of the things you need to treat, like replacing an eye and lung. I managed to find a bonus round for Bonkabon where you need to rewire the machine partway through, but if you take too long, you get jump scared by the void. I don't know, it's just eyes, like what the fuck is this supposed to be? And I received a mallet for my troubles, though I don't think this will replace the bat.
Go to horny jail.
Or the club for that matter. Anyway, onto Fazer Blast FNAF 1. This one has you shooting darts at balloons on top of throwing balls at targets and shooting the light targets with a blaster, and fending off plush babies. You end up getting to a part where you need to shoot the targets on the doors to shut the doors on the animatronics like in FNAF 1. And if you keep failing at this part, you get jump scared by Carney. This is quite hectic, I'll say that. Phaser Blast 2 is closer to its inspiration, but still quite simple. You need to shoot the targets to change the cameras and wind up the music box. And you die from the puppet if you don't keep the music box wound up. And for this one, you can't get the gauge any higher than 2 out of 4, so you have a couple of targets you can hit at any given time to keep scoring. I decided to finish off staff only with Fizzy Faz Night 5, which is especially difficult, and I managed to collect all the Faz Force figures and got Faz Bonatron. This also plays an ending where a charging pod opens, you get jumped by staff bots, and the screen says starting up, which fades into you handing Cassie a Vanny mask. And I believe this model looks way better than the other one she had in her debut. And after this, the credits roll. Yep, that was one of the endings. But there was a minigame I couldn't access despite having done all the other ones in the file, as well as every other minigame I could access. So, what else do you do? Well, this is where things get interesting. There are different plushies you can get from select minigames. There are certain things you need to do in order to collect these plushies, and you don't have to complete the minigame after you grab the plush. You just need to grab it and it'll appear in the hub area. There are some highly oblique clues in the form of graffiti around the hub area, which I don't think I would have been able to figure out without a guide.
The first plushie I got was from Bonkabon, and it's gotten by reversing the code, and you'll see a hand giving you a doll with Bonnie's face on it. The next one is gotten in Fazbear Theater by placing Chica's favorite snacks in the trash. You basically need to prepare everything and place everything in one item after the other to get the plush. The next plush I got was in the Puppet Master Knight and Sister location, where you need to open a drawer and enter the code 1983 in the keypad and get the puppet plush. The next one I got was from Fizzy Faz Night 3 by pouring the soda, 1 part protein, 1 part acid, 1 part caffeine, and 1 part sugar into the cup, hit the emergency shutter, and send the order to get the golden Freddy plush. Next up is the Foxy plush you get by shooting all 3 Helpy cutouts, which will redirect the ride to the purple glitchy segments, where you'll need to shoot the buttons to stop Moondrop. But most importantly, you need to shoot these blue stars.
These stars aren't too obvious, so you need to keep your windshield clean for this. You'll come across a wooden box that will open with Vanny handing you the plush. This next one requires you to shoot the rocket with the Faz Blaster, and this rocket is quite difficult to shoot in some of these levels. And yes, you need to shoot it in FNAF 1 as well. In the FNAF 2 level, you need to check the vent cameras and fire the dart gun at the balloon animatronics and keep the music box wound up. Doing all this will start wrecking stuff until you set the FNAF 2 level on fire. Sure enough, this is what you needed to do in order to unlock the last minigame, Phaser Blast FNAF 3. You need to use the flashlight to look for Springtrap, and use the balls to knock off his armor, pop the balloons with the dart gun, and shoot the target on him with the Faz Blaster to get the Freddy plush. Oh, and you still have to fend off baby plushies. If I had $1 for every baby plushie I've had to fend off between these 2 games, then I'd probably be able to fund a Power Rangers X Transformers game myself. Now that you have all the plushies, Madame Hippo has a purple token to give you, and you can use this token on the Princess Quest machine. Considering it's been a while since I've talked about Princess Quest, like 4 years in fact, I'll talk about it again. Princess Quest is a top-down action game that's like classic Legend of Zelda. You navigate through the level while fending off monsters with a sword. You can pick up health containers to increase your maximum health and teleport to an adjacent ledge. The objective here is to light every fire pit to unlock the room in the center. Crazily enough, you come across yourself playing the game super hot style. You strike yourself and you enter the game. Now you can actually swing the sword to attack enemies and teleport to move, which I have never liked when it comes to movement in VR games. It's completely fine for the hub area because there's not a lot of places to go, but plenty of action games don't work like that. Other than that, you make your way through the castle, killing enemies, lighting fires, and eventually get to the end where you receive a Vanny mask and a glitch trap plush and walk into an elevator. The elevator takes you to a giant claw machine where you see Vanny and Moondrop. Moon holds his hand out to take the glitch trap plush, and he takes it over to the prize chute where it turns into Glitch Trap himself and Vanny crushes him. And the credits roll. Yeah, the game doesn't have as many endings as other FNAF games, but what's here is still pretty interesting. Overall, this game is quite good. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 is a fun package, all things considered. I don't think the game is particularly scary most of the time, but there's plenty of fun experiences that I felt like coming back to after I got the footage. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching, and got a zoom.
You tell yourself you're okay.